Thank you, Desiree, for joining us today. We have, ladies and gentlemen, Desiree Musselman, who's a certified professional trainer. She's also the CEO and founder of Desired Effects Coaching and also the co-founder of World Change Maker. Desiree, thank you very much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me, Cameron.
Excellent. Okay, Desiree, I really want to find out a little bit more about your backstory and how you got into coaching.
I'll give you the shortened version of that. I was in leadership for a company and I actually started working with a coach in 2008 that was internal. And she was amazing. And she really got me inspired. So she helped me learn how to coach and develop my teams, which just made life so much easier and work so much easier. And my teams enjoyed it. So that
Okay.
put me back into training and coaching and developing. And I did it corporately for several years. And then I went out on my own in 2019. And I haven't looked back since.
Excellent. And sort of saying you've never looked back since, why have you not looked back? I mean, what is it about coaching that really has always appealed or is still appealing to you?
What really appeals to me about coaching is that it's not about somebody telling you how to do something. It's about somebody helping you figure out the right way that you want to do something. Coaches truly trust when they're super powerful coaches, they trust that the client has the answers. And our job is just to help them uncover it and figure out what works best for them and get over that fear of trying new things and getting out of their comfort zone. That is more powerful to me than any sort of training I've done. And I still do training, I still train leaders, but coaching is just more impactful. And that's why I don't look back. I love it.
Excellent. And when you say impactful, what do you mean by that?
I have trained managers and I've coached managers.
Mhm.
And I have found that when someone has one on one coaching with a powerful coach, they achieve things so much quicker. They reach heights that they don't even know that they can reach. Training is helpful, but it's not as powerful. Training is usually not retained as well. It may not be understood. Sometimes they don't connect the dots and understand how it actually can impact them or how they can put things in use to actually help them. Coaching does that.
Okay.
That's
Okay.
why.
Okay. So when you sort of talk about training managers and coaching them, the difference between a trained manager, I'm assuming, is what they are told what to do versus a coach manager who knows what they're supposed to do.
Yes. Well, and they may not realize they know what to do, but they do. Like they do the
Okay.
job, but they may not have the confidence in it, or they may not understand how their particular skills can actually help them in areas that they don't feel those skills would be helpful in. And they are. So it's
Right.
opening that door and broadening their perspectives.
Right, right. So walk me through that sort of process. What would that look like if I was a manager in a corporate office? You know, I had a team of 12 people. How would you come in and sort of effect change?
It's usually custom to the client. So we may
Mhm.
start with an assessment, like a 360. We might start with an energy leadership index assessment. That's a sole just for them. And that talks about their perceptions, how they're interacting with people. I really get to know what goals they have, where they feel they need more improvement, where they feel they're comfortable and confident in their skills. And then we go from there. What do they want to do? What kind of impact do they want to make? And then we
Okay,
design and create that together.
excellent. And then you sort of design and put together this plan for the managers or middle managers and senior managers. I'm supposing you do sort of teamwork as well.
I do some group work. My my joy though, I really
Mhm.
love doing one-on-one. It's just so
Okay.
much more impactful. I do
Okay.
a lot of group coaching. I do a lot of group training. I do a lot of custom training programs and coaching.
Right.
So it really depends on what the client needs.
Right. And then how do we measure that going forward?
I love this question because ROI is a big one for me. It could be a secondary assessment to see what growth has been. But I actually look for growth in every single call that I have with them. So we start off every call with where are you at? What have you done? How have you gotten out of your comfort zone? What didn't work? What did work? And then we jump into whatever our topic is for that day. And then we follow up with what are activities? What are you going to do in between? So
Okay.
we can judge how successful they're being, where they need more work, where they need less work, what they've learned about themselves.
Right. But how are they keeping tabs on themselves? Are they given homework?
It depends on what it is. So we create that together. They could have homework, they could have action steps, they could have difficult conversations that they
Yeah.
report back to me on.
Mhm.
And then we do a summary at the end. So whatever the program is, at the end, the very last call we have, we go back down memory lane and talk about this is where you were at. Here's the journey. Where do you feel you're at with this? So we actually go back and look at all of the steps that they've taken and where their comfort level is compared to when they started.
That's excellent. You see, I've had a lot of training in my past. I have a very strong biz dev background, and from basic sales training all the way into as I still am doing, which is leadership training itself. You can never stop learning. But what one of my biggest challenges is always transferring those skills from the organizational client into the current project. I mean, how do you sort of make your coaching different? So if per se we were working together and I left that organization, I could potentially take that elsewhere.
So a lot of my coaching is actually neuroscience based.
Okay.
It has a lot to do with perceptions, how the brain works, understanding how to create new default tendencies, which actually is useful in the workplace and at home.
Okay.
So that can be taken anywhere. Usually, even with training, when I do training programs, they're custom. So it's not just training on their systems, which I also do. It's also training on their leadership development and understanding how their people's minds tick, how their mind interacts with that, how their boss's mind interacts with that, why we get emotionally hijacked in certain situations and how to like move through that gracefully. So all of that can be taken into any other job. So it's not just their job that I'm working with them on, it's their entire career and where
Okay.
they want to go.
So it's more personally tailored to the individual themselves.
Yes.
Excellent. I've always found training to be also a bit of a chore. It can be monotonous. How do you make that fun?
I love that question because I'm actually I'm doing a program for a company right now that we have 13 managers going through this first session. And all of them are like, I have no time,
Yeah.
which we hear all the time. I don't have time
Yes.
for training. How's this going to help me? The very first thing we're training them on, and the first thing we talked about when we rolled out the program, was helping them understand how to motivate themselves.
Okay.
And now it's not up to the trainer, it's not up to the leadership team to actually motivate people. It's up to them. Why do they want to do it? What do they get out of it? How does it fit into their goals for expanding their career and their professional growth or their personal growth?
Mhm.
Once you can really nail that down, they're on board. And you can do that just by asking a few questions. And then for the training itself, I have found things that have worked better than others. And one of the things that I give that's very different than a lot of training companies, like for the training portion,
Yeah.
is I do maybe 15 to 20% of facilitation.
Wow.
And the rest of it is actual hands on work. So they're not just doing exercises, they're actually working on their business live. So they don't feel like they're being taken away from the business and being sat in a room to learn something that they're not going to take action on.
Right.
So that's one of the things that I do. The second thing is that I actually give them the content after that I teach them on. So they have a reference point. A lot of training programs miss that. And it's such a easy thing to give them as a recap of what you actually train them on.
Yeah.
So those are two key things that I use.
Excellent. So you really get them involved, and sort of the old school way of getting your hands stuck into it. But
Yeah.
some, they don't actually realize they're doing the work, but they realize, well, hey, we've actually come a long way, and it just becomes second nature, I'm guessing.
Yes, they get the repetition and the practice live. So it's not just all theory, they're actually working on it live.
Good stuff. One of the biggest challenges for us entrepreneurs is we start with the why. Why do you want to be a business coach? Why do you want to be an entrepreneur, which is the buzzword right now, or self-employed, however you want to coin the phrase. But it's the driver of, hey, we've got this idea or we've got this urge to want to do something. And then you start to do it and then you don't like it and then you stop. But the why is the reason why you started that decision. How do we keep them? I mean, yes, I'm on this course with you now, but I'm halfway through it and I'm like, this is too hard. I don't want to do it anymore. How do you keep someone engaged?
I love that question. That actually goes hand in hand with my second business of World Changemaker and what we do specifically for entrepreneurs, because a lot of times the why, especially right now, people want personal freedom. They
Yeah,
want financial freedom. And that's why they're going into entrepreneurship.
yeah,
The challenge is that when you go after the money or you go after the freedom,
hmm,
the business is secondary.
that's right.
So that's why it feels overwhelming. That's why it seems too much or too hard.
Hmm.
You have to find the joy in what you're doing day to day. It
Excellent.
can't be secondary. It has to be your primary why is why do I want to do this? I mean,
Yeah,
that's why my business has gotten so successful. I don't worry about the money coming in. I don't worry about where my next client's coming from. I show up for my clients because my why for coaching and training new and mid-level leaders
mhm,
is because I didn't get that when I was coming up through the ranks. Nothing was custom. People didn't understand that. I
mhm.
had to train myself on a lot of things. And my why is to make it easier for people to enjoy their lives and their work in leadership instead of getting stressed out.
Yeah,
That's what drives me.
excellent. That is really nice. I want to ask you a question before I make my statement. Does Desiree have a coach?
I have several. I have several. And that's a key thing to know about coaching as well. And that's one of the things I talk to my clients about. Not every coach can coach you on everything.
Right.
And it doesn't have to do with their background or what experience they have. It's like anything. If you want
Yeah.
to be really good at something, you have to be really good at that thing.
Mhm.
So I don't coach on relationships. I don't coach on parenting. I don't coach on any of the stuff that's outside of that. I don't even coach on employees. I coach on leadership and how to be the best leader that you can be without having to exhaust all of your time. That's
That's
what
it.
I provide.
That's really
So,
good.
same thing with my coaches. I have coaches that help me with home stuff. I have coaches that help me with the business side. I have
Mhm.
coaches that help me with my own personal growth,
Yeah, yeah.
but they're
And
specific to that.
that's really good. And sort of looking at it from my personal side and in my journey over, let's sort of look at the last 5 years. What I've realized is it's so important to surround yourself not only with like-minded people, but as you mentioned, I have a business coach who's purely focused on the business itself, growing the business. Who do you have in your team? What is the next steps, etc. And that's all we're focused on. The conversation is purely, and the mentorship is purely about that itself, whereby he may be able to give me some advice on direction on where to go for your other issues. But the core focus is always the business itself. And it's so important, I think, for entrepreneurs and us business owners to actually have, I always say you've got to have your relationship coach, your marriage coach, your business coach, your banking coach. You have all of these people. And I think we should normalize it, because when you start saying, well, I need a marriage counselor or a marriage coach, people automatically think that, oh, well, there's a problem. But actually, there's not. It just means you want to do better and be the best at what you do. And so I really support that, factor of having more than one person involved in your life
Oh,
to
yeah.
help you with other things. And I suppose for our listeners as well, if they do wish to expand on their knowledge, then it really is a good direction to go into. So that being said, talk to me more about your second business.
World Changemaker is a
Correct.
passion project. That's co-founded with two other phenomenal coaches who I met mentoring entrepreneurs
Good stuff.
through a volunteer company. And we just hit it off. We did training for entrepreneurs. We did one-on-one mentoring. We did group mentoring. And we just sync. We understand and we support each other in different ways. One of my business partners has run her own business successfully for 20 years in the lighting manufacturing industry.
Okay.
Um, the other one is a personal branding coach that helps people understand how to use their voice and find their confidence in talking about their business. And I do the leadership and the neuroscience piece to help with mindset. So the three of us together is like the perfect little combination for entrepreneurs and leadership to understand how to take whatever their idea is to the next level and gain that confidence. And that's what we provide. We do it through really fun, interactive, different things like speed networking, like we have masterminds. We do it through in person retreats, one on one conversations, networking, like regular networking or trainings and workshops. And it provides something for entrepreneurs that they don't really get other places, which is I can tell you all the financial things behind your business and how to start it. I can teach you how to set up your business. All three of us can do that, but it's really about what do you want? We help them understand what their mission and vision is, their why, like we talked about, outside of I want to make more money and I want personal freedom.
Yeah.
Because entrepreneurs, I mean, the statistics are crazy and they're getting worse since COVID.
Hmm.
And it used to be most businesses failed within the first 3 years. We're seeing it worse than that now,
Right.
right? They're failing within the first or second year because people are going into it not understanding what their real passion is. And
Yeah.
that is the piece that really puts people sideways.
Yeah, yeah. And I guess what kind of that goes back to what you said earlier is stop doing things that you don't do and do things that you love. Because if you sort of put the money aside and start focusing on, well, hey, I actually enjoy making jewelry and I have a passion for jewelry and I can talk the jewelry language all day long, then you start making pieces for people similar to yourself, but for the industry without actually knowing. It becomes second nature. Here goes like your getting people to do the practical work itself, and all of a sudden you've actually turned your handcraft into a multi-million dollar business without you actually knowing. But I found that, and this is based on all my experiences as well, is you go in saying, well, we could do 100 grand every week or every month, and this time next year we'll be millionaires. You'll crash and burn very quickly because you're not focused on the actual delivery of the infrastructure that you want. You're actually focused on your selfish greed or need, and there is no why, then there is a want. And I want
Yes.
this doesn't equal to why you should have it. So I totally agree with you. So I mean, you saying this, I've seen it a lot here in Europe. Businesses are failing very quickly, and the reason being is that I think a lot of people get into business right now. They don't actually understand why they're getting into business, what
Mm-hmm.
they need to do. They don't actually understand the customer themselves. I see a lot of people selling things on Instagram and Facebook and all of these other social platforms, and they have a policy which is no refunds, which is, well, hey, look, buy my product, buy my course, buy this, but then there's a no refund policy. And someone like myself who is a shopper, I'm not going to spend my money with you because What I want to know is if I buy it and I don't like it, we can have a conversation about what you could do to make that better. And until I suppose these new entrepreneurs start to understand what it takes to actually be in business, then we're going to see these numbers go up. And this is where people like you really sort of make an impact, and your colleagues and friends within the industry, is bringing us entrepreneurs, or the younger people, into the business and actually starting them from ground zero. Now, if I was to ask you, what does that look like if I was a brand new business owner and I wanted to start a business? I didn't know where to start, but I got your number. What does that look like? First conversation, take me through the whole process.
First conversation would really be to understand why they're doing it. Like we
Yeah.
said, what's really driving them. And then I usually talk every entrepreneur I talk to, whether they're friends or networking or their clients, I always tell them there's 4 stages to entrepreneur when you actually make it. The first one is gung ho, I'm going to do this. I'm excited. This is going to be fun. The second one is, uh-oh, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm going to go listen to the free gurus and what do they have to put out. And I'm going to learn, how to market myself. And I'm going to take a bunch of free courses. And maybe I'll pay for somebody, right? And then the third level is I can't do this. This is overwhelming. I bit off more than I can chew. I don't understand the business side. I don't understand marketing. I don't understand sales. I don't know how to get my product, whatever it is. There's a lot of I can't, and I need to go find a job. And that's the point where if you can push back through that third phase, the fourth phase is I really understand what I'm focusing on, and the money just comes. The jobs come, the clients come, the sales come, because you've really sat down and gone, no, I really want to do this. This is the right path for me. So if you can get past that and trust your own confidence, and you can find somebody that doesn't say, here's my canned idea of how you can move forward with your business. If you follow me, you're going to make $100,000 a year or $10,000 a month, right? Because you're going to do it my way. And I've already figured this out. There is no right way. And when you can figure out that piece, it's smooth sailing. That's what gets you past the business failing.
Right. Right. So a lot of the what I'm taking out of this is that psychology is really important, to everything that you do within the business itself.
Absolutely. Mindset's the biggest challenge that we have to overcome. It really is. We sabotage ourselves every single day, and we don't even realize we're doing it. So,
Very true.
absolutely.
That's very true. My business mentor said to me, he said, the only person that's standing between you and you being successful is yourself. Um, and I've got to the point where with our new product launch, I actually say to myself, and I said this a couple of times this week, is get out of your own head. Just get out of your own head. But I'm saying that because where fear becomes something that you've only created yourself is you've built the damn thing. You're about to launch the product. You're there. Why do you want to run away now? You're at the edge of the cliff. You've climbed to the top of the mountain. You don't give up now. And I suppose when you allow fear to take over, you start to make irrational decisions. And I guess that goes back to what you were saying is you're overwhelmed. You don't know what to do, but you're thinking you don't know what to do, and you do something totally different. And
Yeah.
I always have now adopted this, and I don't know if you kind of would agree, is I just take a shower, go out for a walk, take myself out of the situation, and I look at myself from the outside in. Um, and literally just it gives me another sort of like blank canvas to to really push. And um, it's difficult as an entrepreneur.
Mhm.
I have my whole entire team based out in North America. I work in different time zones. So at
Okay.
a point in time, you know, not only are you the leader, or you might be they want to call you the driver, but actually your team members are also your colleagues, and you may want to vent or ask questions. And what do you do when it's 4 a.m. their time, and 5 p.m. your time, it's difficult. So how do you maintain? I'm not sure if you have any international clients, but are these some challenges that you may have heard of? And if so, what would you tell listeners how best they could deal with that?
Absolutely. And this is where your network and your peers come in. So
Mhm.
outside of your business. And this is one of the things I always talk to clients about, whether they're in a corporation or they're running their own company. Go meet your competition. Go make friends with your competition because they're going through the same things you are. They have an outside perspective, they understand your industry. And the more you can do that, like that's why we do a lot of like roundtables with CEOs, because you can vet ideas and you can start thinking about like, what did you do? What did you struggle with? So go out and make some friends, network with some people that are in similar situations, because they're doing the same thing at 4 o'clock in the morning, right? So it's a win-win situation where you can support each other to be able to figure out what to do. And you have that network and that safety and people to talk to. Make
That's
friends.
that's really good. I mean, a lot of people are afraid to invest, buying
Mm.
courses, and because we have all of these gurus on all of these networks, and as you mentioned, pay me $10,000 and be just like me, drive this fancy car, and we all know it's not true. But
Yeah.
some people are gullible and they do fall for it. But for those that are actually the latter, who are wiser and would want to spend their money on investment of roundtables and dinners and events, where would you say a small business person or an entrepreneur, who is just coming into the business or industry start?
So there's a lot of places that they can start, and there's a lot of help out there for new business
Mhm,
owners. And there's some paid and there's some free,
mhm,
right? I would say go to like SCORE is a great, score.org is a great nonprofit in the US that actually works with small business owners and helps them figure out how to launch. And you can have multiple mentors and it's all free. They do trainings as well. Workforce development. A lot of people don't take advantage of that here in the US.
mhm.
They have HR lines that are free to help you with hiring and firing and all of that stuff. They have trainings and different promotions and things that they can help you with for workforce development and starting your business. And look for companies that don't tell you I have a canned program, right? I mean, that's one of the things we really wanted to focus on with World Changemaker. We have a retreat coming up where it's in person, it's over the weekend, and the whole weekend is set up. It's very small. We don't invite a lot of people, but you come with an idea and we actually put together a 90-day custom plan with you on how to move forward. Not how we would move forward, but how they want to move forward and all of those steps. And then they get 4 weeks of accountability and brainstorming and everything afterwards. You want to look for things like that because that is going to help you understand how you want to move forward, not how somebody else it worked for them, because it might not be the same industry. They might not have the same clientele. I've ran businesses all over just California, and 20 minutes away, it's a totally different market, totally different people that I am selling to the same products. And I had to take different aspects. So there's not one right way to do anything. So look for those companies out there that can show you your right way to do it, not their right way to do it.
Excellent. Would you be able to provide us a link to that retreat itself and some dates in the comments?
Absolutely.
Good stuff.
Absolutely.
So, this conversation has been really fruitful. I've actually enjoyed my time with yourself. But what I'd love to do is sort of just wrap up with
Mhm.
how our listeners can find you, and how they can connect with you. And yeah, floor's yours.
I have several ways to get a hold of me. You can go to desiredeffectscoaching.com, which is my personal business, and contact me through there. You can go to worldchangemaker.com and reach out to me and my partners. I'm on Instagram under Desired Effects Coaching, LinkedIn, and Facebook. So you can get me even Pinterest. There's a lot of great articles that I post on Pinterest for people to follow too. So there's tons of ways to get a hold of me, or you can email me at hello@worldchangemaker.com or hello@desiredeffectscoaching.com.
Fantastic. Excellent. Thank you. Now, I do have a question for you. So, we launched a concierge business a few years ago. Due to COVID, we had to scale back, and in fact, we lost our entire team.
Mm.
We have rebuilt the business, rebuilt the product, built a wonderful team as well. I coined them the $1 million team. I personally believe that in order for you to build a $1 million product, you have to first build that $1 million team. And I actually quite enjoy working with every single one of them. And what I wanted to ask you is, would you or have you ever traveled to a location, arrived, let's say Sacramento, 11 p.m. at night, and you've forgotten your toothbrush and a couple of bits and pieces, and you've got a 7 a.m. or 8 a.m. meeting, and you don't know where to go?
Yes, I think that happens to everybody at a certain point. I've experienced that so much that I actually have go-to places
Okay.
what I do. So I have stuff in my back pocket. But it's amazing what the concierge at a hotel can do for you too.
Right. Yeah, that is very true. Their job is to actually know everything. But what we're finding now is that a lot of these smaller boutique hotels, they're doing away with the concierge. And
Mhm.
so we these private host accommodations as well. So you arrive into town, and if you don't have a go-to place, you're stuck. What we're trying to do here with our tool is to offer you that in your back pocket. Do you think that as an individual who travels a lot, it would be something handy for yourself?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. The less usually when I'm traveling, it's because I'm doing training, right? And you
Mhm.
have to get into a mindset and it's a full day training the next day and I'm prepping and there's so many things I need to worry about
Mhm.
or maintain
Mhm.
that if I can have somebody else do some of that for me, take that worry and that pressure off so I am fully present the next day, totally worth it.
Excellent. That's good to hear. I mean, that makes me kind of sleep easy at night to know that at least.
Oh
But
yeah.
also, my greatest thing I take out of this conversation is I've learned a lot, and I'm definitely looking forward to speaking to you again offline and hopefully working with yourself in future as well. So, Desiree, thank you very much for your time.